the 24/7 podcast. This is Brian Albright, editorial director at Digital Engineering Magazine. Today, as part of our annual Technology Leaders series, we're going to be talking about a key part of the product development process, requirements writing. And I'm joined today by Jordan Kyriakidis, co-founder and CEO at QRA, which offers software tools that help improve and optimize requirements writing and reviewing. Welcome to the program, Jordan.
Thank you, Brian. It's good to be here.
Good. I wanted to start off by talking a little bit about product complexity. As
Sure.
we write about different technologies in the design process here at DE, product complexity has really affected every stage of the product development and design cycle.
Yeah.
How's that type of complexity making technical requirements writing more challenging?
Yeah. Well, writing technical requirements, like writing in general, has always been challenging. Right? What complexity does is it makes technical requirements writing a lot more important. Right? And, product complexity means that there's a lot more interdependence between all the different pieces. It means the components of the system have behavior that changes as you add more components. Um, it, what product complexity does is put a lot more importance in the systems engineer, a lot more importance in the early stages of product development, and it pushed a lot more importance in the technical requirements themselves because people will rely on the technical requirements. So it's important that they're accurate, complete, and correct, more so than previously with more simple products.
Well, given that, what are some of the common, failure points or challenges in requirements writing that companies seem to really struggle with?
Yeah, I'd say there's maybe three that I can just think of right now. One, that people don't know at the start what all the details of the product are going to be. And so they skip writing requirements, or they write some very vague, very open ended statements, and they justify it by saying, well, there's great uncertainty, so why bother? A second failure mode is the complete opposite. They spend enormous amount of energy trying to spec out every detail at the start. I think both of these are clearly not a good way to go. The third failure mode occurs somewhere between these two extremes and is actually the most common failure mode that we see. Companies understand the growing importance of technical requirements. They have processes and tools in place to write and manage the requirements. But very often, measuring the quality of the requirements, are they clear? Are they complete? Are they consistent? These quality indicators, these are things that are usually left to manual inspection by high value senior engineers. And much of this work, frankly, is kind of drudgery. We have a lot of high value engineers doing very low value work. And oftentimes people just don't know what makes a good requirement and what are the elements of good requirements. That's probably the most common failure mode that we see.
And I think just personally, as an editor, I don't edit requirements, obviously, but I know that there's a lot of human error that can get involved because after you start reading things over and over again, or reading a lot of similar types of documents, your brain just sort of overlooks a lot of things, not through laziness or anything. It's just like you just start skipping things as you're reading things over and over again,
Yeah,
and you might look at the same mistake 10 times and never see it.
totally agree, right? I always say if you want to pit human against machine for checking 10 requirements for quality, the human will win almost any time, almost every time. But making now 10,000 requirements, it's a different ball game, right?
Has the shift to remote work affected that requirements writing process or development process in any way?
Absolutely, it has affected it. It's being remote also means that you work a lot more asynchronously. Right? You collaborate, but oftentimes it's not in real time. And that means that the written word is more important than ever. Right? I think requirements engineering is becoming more important, and rightly so. I'm contrasting here engineering versus requirements management. Right, the engineering part is more important, and the remote workforce is a multiplier of this importance because people have to rely on some kind of documentation to do the work. more so than in the past because the technology is new. It's a lot more complex. So they rely on what's available, and most often that's the written word, and that's technical requirements.
Has anything changed about who is doing the requirement writing at these organizations?
It has, mainly due to business pressures to produce more quicker with higher quality. And you can't get all three. We're seeing oftentimes people will contract out the requirements writing, or they'll be written by people who are quality engineers, but English is not their first language, and so there's weird kind of let's say local variations in the requirements writing. So those are the main things that we see. And generally a shift towards younger engineers writing the requirements.
Well, I know QRA has a product called QV Scribe, and that helps companies improve requirements writing. So, how does that platform work, and in what ways does it sort of improve this whole process?
Well, it helps in multiple ways, right? So at the first stage, it helps with the authoring process. So as people are writing requirements, if they use QV Scribe, they will get feedback immediately as they're writing it. Right? What's unclear, what's vague, what is inconsistent with previous requirements written. And so, I'd like to say you want to catch errors not with a product recall, but by hitting backspace a few times on your keyboard. Right? And so it's the real time aspect I think is important. Another one is the reporting capabilities so that project managers and leaders can, requirements writing is often an opaque part of the development process. And especially now, as the early stages of product development are more important, the reporting that we have will give managers a view onto how the requirements writing is going. Are they writing a lot of requirements? Are they editing them? Are they improving or getting worse over time? I think another important aspect is that QBScribe is cross-platform. It's not whatever you're using right now in your to manage your requirements, whether it's Word and Excel or Polarian or Doors. We sit on top of the database and to provide an analysis for you, so we're not stuck to any one particular platform. One other one I think that is important is that our analysis is very configurable and explainable, right? We do use a lot of NLP, a lot of AI in our technology, but it's not a kind of magic you get what you get and we can't explain it why it is. Right? We'll give you actual feedback and guidance on how to improve your requirements.
Well, and I think that's important too, because that people understand that you're not feeding your requirements in, and then the machine is doing something, and you're saying, "Okay, we're good to go." It's offering guidance to the writers and the reviewers of these things about what may or may not be incorrect, so that they can apply some human judgment to it too, right?
That's a really good way to articulate it. It's exactly correct, right? This QB Scribe is not it's not meant to replace humans writing requirements. It's meant to elevate their thinking so they get away from things like syntax and patterns and these sorts of things can be caught with an automated tool much more quickly and with less effort than a human. So the human can spend now, like you mentioned, on exercising their judgment. Right? Is this the right thing to do?
Anything else about either the QV Scribe platform or about the evolution of requirements writing you think it would be important for our listeners to hear?
I would say, yeah, maybe two more things. One is is to start thinking about requirements engineering, the engineering part of requirements writing, right? It really is a new discipline that's emerging, that's important, and it's coming hand in hand with the rise of systems engineering and with the understanding that there needs to be some kind of integrated data between or integrated data formats between all the different elements of product development. Requirements are one, but there's also designs and models and so forth. And the third one I would say is to template the requirements as much as possible. We find most of the companies that advance further than others have adopted a style guide or a template on how to write requirements. And so that means the requirements automatically have uniform format. It frees the human now to analyze just the content of it as opposed to the syntax.
Well, Thank you very much for joining us today, Jordan.
It's my pleasure. Yeah, it's great to chat
And
with you.
and thank you all for listening. We'll talk to you next time on the DE 24/7 podcast.